So what was this shitty made animated series I tried so poorly to promote exactly? It originally wasn't supposed to be a web series, not exclusively at least. I wanted to make a cartoon and a game about mercenaries that worked for an agency that went around the multiverse fighting different enemies and dealing with different conflicts. The thing that I knew that would separate it from most other stories was the fact that it included other stories. The game idea I had was supposed to be a culmination of maps of other games that you had to save from an emerging force that's trying to conquer it. The games I wanted to involve were Borderlands, Halo, Sunset Overdrive, Infamous, and many, many more. The idea was originally made all the way back in middle school, and it was supposed to be about the 4 games I grew up with: Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Crash Bandicoot. Tried writing myself in as one of the main characters, but no matter what, I was still a kid and knew very little about story writing. UUSF was originally nameless and was more based off of Red vs. Blue, which I was watching around the time of 2010 and loved it, and it was a huge inspiration for me to make the series. Hell, I even started the series off by making it about UNSC soldiers that took jobs as mercenaries. Once I started playing Borderlands and loved that, I began to want to make the soldiers more badass. Despite all the changes, the story was virtually the same. Group of heroes, alternate universes, etc., etc. After playing hundreds of games and watching dozens of shows and getting really into science and science fiction, I finally made it out with the USF. Now, here's what it's about. It's the year 2560. Humanity and many other alien species are segregated based off of ethical or governing views, and each form different factions. There are dozens of factions, but there are 6 main big ones that have the most influence over the rest of the universe. After the invention and advancement of multiversal travel, 2 of the big groups rose up and became the face of their dimension for other realities. The United Universes Special Forces, or UUSF. They believe that each universe should be free from outer influences and have the choice to follow its own path. In a weird way, it's kind of like this. You know the kid that would always rewrite the stories to have a more preferred and happier ending? The USF is against that kid despite his good intentions, because to them, forcing an entire reality to change is still deemed unethical and violates the rights of both the universe and the people in it. The MTC, Multiversal Total Control. They are the antithesis and the opposite. They believe that universes that have slavery, genocide, xenophobia, and worse are realities that shouldn't be left alone in any way. They believe that if someone is doing something bad, it's your duty as a good person to stop it and make the world a better place. The best way to describe them is with their motto: peace by any means necessary. The history of the UUSF's universe is one with a lot of questions about ethics. Humans experienced World War III, and because of this, we had to leave Earth to survive and colonize the rest of the universe. There are still people and other small groups on Earth, but it's not exactly an easy place to live. Consider it kind of like Fallout. While going out to space, humans found many other alien species, each of which were different in their own culture, biology, and history. The following alien list goes as such: Saurians, extremely intelligent, weak immune system, breathe a different oxygen type, and their species is the most likely to have an honest-to-God eidetic memory. They don't forget things. Brusque, large, tough, and very muscular. Don't let looks fool you though. They're very smart with weapon making, thermodynamics, and have a very, very powerful immune system. Anthmans are basically furries. They're relatively primitive, but are slightly similar to humans in terms of culture, history, and religious points. They even have magic, like real, legit magic. They're also relatively the most peaceful species out of all the alien races out there. They aren't really fond of violence of any kind, and despite their innate instincts that tend to come from their animalistic ancestors, they still don't exactly enjoy killing, and only do so when they really need to, whether it be hunting or surviving or etc. Insectoids and arachnoids, or the Hive. They're scrawny but tough. They had such a genetic history of combat that their children even have a reflex of fighting, like swatting a fly in your face type of reflexes. Their diets are also vastly different from most of the other races out there. They could go over a month without eating and they'd be fine. Humans are a very interesting species in terms of where we relate into the universe. We're the only species to have destroyed our own planet, the only species to survive the destruction of our own planet, and we're also the most violent species out there. We have the most psychotic issues, the most wars, aside from the Hive, who have a history of conquering planets, and we tend to be favored by the other alien races, not because we're intelligent or because we're socialites or anything like that, but rather because we're good soldiers and we tend to kill without question. So we're kind of the psychos and soldiers of the universe. Now on to the characters. The story revolved around 6 individual badasses that each had their own unique skills, personalities, and abilities. There's also a vast array of other characters that varied in both their personality and perspective of things. Suffice to say, there's a lot of characters in the UUSF. And the commando Eric Walker is basically the main protagonist. He's brass, violent, alcoholic, and trained to be this ruthless engineering killing machine. He grew up in another Earth universe, but the MTC invaded. They turned it into ash and hunted down the survivors. When Eric managed to escape their manhunt and even successfully kill one of their agents, they offered him a position in their military. When he refused, they dumped him on the planet Baron, a place full of cannibals and psychos. That's where he met Michael, former bandit Michael Hammond. He's this incredibly durable and strong character that was personally one of my main favorites to write about. He's fun, brutal, funny, and I like the way I both designed and storied him. He's actually based off of a friend I've had since before my childhood, and I wanted to make a character similar to his outgoing personality and awesome style. Jennifer Anderson is another fun one. She's this druggy, badass medic chemist who uses holograms to fight and has a very in-your-face attitude. I enjoy using it to piss some people off sometimes. She's basically my example and philosophical view of, I don't care what's between your legs, if you piss me off, I'll kick it, and I'll kick it hard. The arachnoid on the team is a man named Vic Amahi. He was this monotone, sarcastic samurai who I enjoy designing more than anything else. He dual wields 2 swords and is good at being a nonchalant badass who can deflect bullets and thwits like Spider-Man. The anomaly that is Z is this slender thing. I wanted to make someone that emphasized the strange people, creatures, and machinations that the agencies constantly come across. He was inspired from Zero from Borderlands, and I wrote him way before Zero got so much story involvement with Tales in Borderlands 3. Ultimately, I enjoyed making this character because of both his abilities and his strangeness. The company man known as Zach Miles, at least that's the name he goes by. He's this gifted hacker who has a mysterious past. He's an aristocrat, good with machines, and he works for the Atlas Corporation. He's someone I enjoyed making because of his dapper attire and his corporate sense of superiority. There are way more characters, but I feel like I should cover them in a different video. I do plan on doing some short animations based off of the listed, and I even plan on doing a what they should sound like video for each character. But for now, let's focus on this video. The way I was going to do this show idea was through a traditional sense of episodes and seasons like Red vs. Blue. First season was going to be around 20 episodes, and the season itself was going to be labeled as something called The Vamos Incident, which I was actually going to have lead into the game and act as a prequel in a weird way. The game itself is still planned on being made, just like the rest of the series, but has taken a backseat since the people that are going to help me with it are making a game themselves, and I agreed to help them out with other things like art, character, and story design. And so far we're doing a pretty good job. But once that's out of the way, we can focus on the game, which is just going to be called the UUSF. And I had it laid out in a way that was kind of like a 4-player co-op, multiplayer mode, map maker, story, etc., class, character, all that stuff. And it's basically going to be like a strange mixture combination gameplay of Borderlands, Bioshock, Halo, Killzone, and Sunset Overdrive, and plenty more. I also plan on making a lore video, kind of like the lore in a minute, and it's going to be specifically about the UUSF and its timeline. But if you have any more questions, leave any in the comments for all 5 of you out there, and I will talk to you all next time. Have a nice day. Bye!